Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming to you live and direct from Black Facts headquarters central today. Yes, we are very late today, but it's the first day of our new show, and sometimes this happens on the first day because I want to make sure I get everything lined up and in order since this is going to be recorded for posterity. If I'm going to do it, I figure I might as well do it right. Yes, that's a proverb. Meanwhile, go ahead and give us a like and a thumbs up if you're looking at us on YouTube. And then go ahead and subscribe to the Tubular Blakfacts Channel below. We've got a real good series lined up for you where we're going to, the topic will be Christmas in April. Because it's April now, so we're going to talk about Christmas, which is a little more than 6 months away. So I figured now is a good time to talk about Christmas when everybody's not all up in the fray, all caught up in the Christmas spirit and the Christmas season, etc. So this way that you can still spend your time focused on your Christmas plans when it's actually Christmas time. But now we can just talk about Christmas. And what does Christmas mean? Where does it come from? Why do we celebrate it? Etc., etc., etc. What's the history of Christmas? And this is all part of an ongoing series on holidays. Mainly holidays that African Americans celebrate. Christmas being one of them. Juneteenth being another. Emancipation Day, limited holiday. Only really celebrated in D.C. And then, so we've talked about a number of different holidays during this month of April, and the last one we're going to talk about is Christmas. All right, and we're gonna take you all the way way black. So as we get started, let's go ahead and do our proverb for the day. And let's see, proverb for the day is I think I did that one already. Pretty sure I did this one. Yeah, I did that one already. Let's see, what else do we got here? Okay. Boy, we've run through them. Okay, here. Here's a good one right here. Sweet, short, and simple. And definitely related to our topic of the day. Majuto ni mujuku. Majuto ni mujuku. And that means, transliterates as, regretting is a grandchild. People regret only after something has happened to them. So in other words, nobody gets upset when they steal something and get away with it. You only get upset when you get caught. Think about that one. I only get upset when you get caught. And then, of course, we've got a poem for today. Let's see. Ooh, here we go here. This is a place that we used to hang out at a lot. I didn't hang out there that much, but every now and then I'd hang out down in Leimert Park. Leimert Park. Oh, and this is out of the book, The Language. I always want to say Life is a Saxophone. I think he's got a poem called that too. But this book is The Language of Saxophones, because you know saxophones have their own language. They can talk. All right. And so Brother Kamal Daoud blessed us today with the poem Leimert Park. My heart is a djembe drum played upon by the dark hands of a Fifth Street cappuccino. My invisible turban is an angelic saxophone solo. The sidewalk is hardened mud cloth, massaging the sole of my feet. I do West African dance steps, reflecting the sun off my Stacey Adams shoes. I stand on the OG corner, tell old school stories with a bebop tongue to the hip hop future. I see new rainbows in their eyes as we stand in puddles of melted chains. Visit the black sensei, the grumpy voice, wrapped in juju warrior spirit, guarding room full of stereotypes and ancestral story. A Moor in a pork pie hat stands with a video camera in front of a stained glass musician. I low ride on a zebra in front of Congo Square. We clothe ourselves in sun and Africa by the yard, hand woven the fabric of the lives we sculpt. There are trees in Leimert Park under which old men do divination with the bones of dominoes. Degnan, a river, a new Nile on whose banks young poets sharpen their hearts on the polyrhythms of Billy Higgins' smile on the world stage where Tapscott fingers massage your collective memory. At the crossroads, a vision is shaped by a woman who labored as a maid and gave her wages to her village. Here, where her children play double dutch with dreadlocked ropes and believers wash the streets with a mother's tears under Kente sky, vomit up your television set. Take a deep breath and exhale your fears. Scrub the tombstones of those who died young until they become mirrors in which to see yourself. Take long stares at your hands until true love returns to your touch. Then touch, stand right in a garment of light. I want to pour poems into the open arms of your drums. I want to get in between your piano keys and unleash the healing secrets. I want to stuff your dreams with a bed of cleansing herbs. I want to wipe the bull's eyes off the backs of your children. Damn. I knew the brother was deep, man, but man, he be coming with some imagery there. And he ends with, I want to wipe the bull's eyes off the backs of your children. Now, see, that's saying something, because this book is vintage, what year? 2005. So before Trayvon Martin had happened, this book was already out there talking about the very same thing. The same thing. It runs as a theme all through our history, all the way back from the end of slavery up to the present. So we're talking over 100 years of history of these types of incidents with the patty rollers, because that's really what the police are. They're just modern day patty rollers. Patty rollers, otherwise known as patrollers, were the ones who would return you to slavery if they caught you out there without a pass. That's right, they pull you over. You weren't even in a car. Cars hadn't even been invented yet. But they'd pull you over in a horse and a buggy, on a horse by itself, walking, any which way you were moving, they could pull you over and ask for your pass. Do you have your pass? Where's your pass? And if you don't have it, that's your, I don't even need to say, you know what I mean. Well, meanwhile, let's get on with our story for the day, because we're going to switch up a little bit, just a little bit, and we're moving on to Christmas in April. Christmas in April. That's right. There we go. Boom. Deck the hall with boughs of folly. Fa la 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 la. Deck the halls with boughs of folly. That's right. You heard me right. I'm doing poetry off the cuff. I would do it in the buff, but that's not going. I'm not going to get that tough today. I'll give you a break. So this is going to be an introduction to the topic for the week, which is Christmas in April, and we're going to end out the month with this. And we're gonna talk about Christmas. We're gonna focus on the holiday from a number of different angles, beginning with how you remember it. So if you saw our program yesterday, you may recall having seen this picture of me. What was yesterday? Yesterday was Sunday. Well, you didn't see it. No, yesterday was Monday. Today is Tuesday. So yeah, you may have seen this picture of me dressed up in my Christmas suit for the first Christmas I can remember. Now, I'm sure there was another one before this one, but I don't really remember it like I remember this one, mainly because we got the photo. And so, how do you remember Christmas? Do you remember it because of the blazing lights like you see here displayed up the street from our house? Do you remember the big tree in the living room? Or was your family only able to afford a little scraggly little tree like Charlie Brown? Do you remember the Christmas carolers coming around to your house to sing joy to the world, all is well? Or do you remember slavery times when we'd get a little time off and be able to sing and dance and prance around for one day out of the year? Maybe you remember gathering together with friends and family members on a Christmas morning. Have a little breakfast or a little brunch, maybe a little lunch, but definitely gather together and eat some food. Do you remember the enchanting world of make-believe of Santa Claus, who supposedly was pulled by reindeer on a sleigh through the northern climes, who lived at the North Pole and would come and visit you coming down the chimney that you didn't have to your apartment in the projects? Is that how you remember Christmas? Or maybe you remember Christmas like this. Maybe you remember Christmas being a time when you would go out in the yard and set up whole displays, nativity scenes and scenes of snowmen and snow women and all types of pine trees, fake pine trees. Or maybe you remember this jolly old fellow here from the mind of Thomas Nast. That's right, the nasty man, who came up with this image of Santa Claus, otherwise known as Saint Nick, as a jolly old white man with a long white beard and a big fat belly who liked to say ho 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 when that was still okay to say around your children, when they wouldn't say ho ho ho. You know what I mean? Yeah, these children today, I don't know where they get this stuff from. Oh, I do know, but I'm hoping that I don't know. So how do you remember Christmas? Do you remember the nativity scenes, maybe outside your school or outside your church? Do you remember doing the school play about the first Christmas and the wise men coming and delivering their gifts to the baby Jesus and his mama, the Black Madonna? Or maybe you remember that Christmas message from Ronald Reagan when he was governor, when he said, I'm sending Chesterfields to all my friends for Christmas. Yes, he sent them some cancer sticks, some coffin nails. Wouldn't that be a lovely gift to receive right around now in the time of COVID when everybody's having a hard time breathing? Send somebody a whole, not just a pack of cigarettes, but a carton of cigarettes. Chesterfields, the smooth smokes. 9 out of 10 doctors recommend Chesterfields when you're feeling kind of tense and really uptight. Or maybe you remember Christmas like this, because you're on the young side. Maybe you remember an Obama Christmas with the Obamas. Look at them, the lovely vision of America and a true American family with the son of an immigrant and the daughters of a homegrown African-American woman. Maybe you remember Christmas like this. Maybe you remember a Christmas where you wished there was such a thing as a black Santa Claus, but nobody ever told you there was, except in the cartoons. Maybe you remember Christmas like this, down home on Liberia Plantation in Virginia, right near Manassas or Centerville, the center of the world, the center of the American world, right next door to the slave capital of the world, Washington, D.C. Maybe you remember Christmas like this, a down home Christmas. A down-home Christmas in front of the plantation mansion on that one day off that you got every year. Maybe you remember Christmas like that. Or maybe you remember Christmas like this. Maybe you remember Christmas happening every single day as you walk down the street past the little Negro with the lantern standing in the front of the yard, all up in the pine needles. Maybe you remember Christmas like that. Maybe you remember Christmas like this, standing on the porch, begging Master and praying for Mrs. that they have a good holiday. Because you and your family are going to go back to your little shack, light a fire. Maybe you light up a little Yule log or so. Or maybe you just go back home. Maybe do a little ice fishing. Take one of your children out with you. Or maybe you're not even from the USA. Maybe your traditions go back, way back, so far back that everybody back in that time was extra black. Like you see the little baby Jesus here and the Black Madonna in another form. Celebrating Christmas in Ethiopia. Maybe that's how you remember Christmas. Maybe you remember Christmas as a time when it wasn't so much about the family gathering, but it was about making a pilgrimage. Or maybe you remember Christmas like this if you grew up in the Netherlands with Zwarte Piet. Maybe you remember this as the scene that comes to your mind when you think about Santa Claus and his helper, Zwarte Piet, Black Peter, Sweet Peter Jeter. I won't even say what Peter Jeter could do, but mind you, Peter had his ways. Or maybe you remember Christmas like this, celebrating it with the Ethiopian priests with the tabot on their head as they processed up the hill, down into the avenues of the path going to Bet Miriam. Maybe you remember Christmas like that. Or maybe you grew up in Munich and you remember the Krampusnacht parade. Maybe this is how you remember Christmas, with the costumed Krampus imitators walking down the street with their scary masks. She does look kind of frightened, doesn't she? Or maybe you remember Christmas like this. Maybe you remember Christmas in Rome with the huge Christmas tree silhouetted by one of the Cleopatra's needles, stolen from Egypt, taken to Rome, placed right there in front of old black St. Peter's Basilica. Maybe that's how you remember Christmas. Or maybe you remember Christmas like this. Maybe you remember a down-home Christmas with the Klan. Maybe they brought you Christmas presents. What kind of Christmas present would they bring you? This little girl looks happy about the ones they're bringing her. Or maybe you remember Christmas like this. Standing around watching Zwarte Piet as he comes up the canal on his boat and gets off with, what do they call him? Kris Kringle. I forget the name they call him in the Netherlands. I can't think of what they call him there. But they got a name for Santa Claus there, but it ain't what we call him here. But maybe that's how you remember him. Maybe, and there goes a picture of them together. The two of them on the trail. Maybe you remember Christmas when Santa Claus and Zwarte Piet, Santa Claus, there it is. Maybe you remember Zwarte Piet and Santa Claus coming to your home at night. Krampus with his switches to beat all the bad children. Or maybe you remember Christmas like this, spending it inside the church, praying for a good new year, praying for all those who had passed during that year, praying that Christ might return and bring eternal peace and happiness to the whole planet. Maybe that's how you remember Christmas. Or maybe you remember Christmas like this, with a couple of Krampuses coming out of the hills of Germany into the city to celebrate Krampusnacht. Or maybe you remember Christmas like this, with the Ethiopian priest drumming and chanting in Ge'ez. Maybe this is how you remember Christmas. How do you remember Christmas? Let us know how you remember Christmas. Do you remember it as a time where you spent together with your family and friends? Or do you remember it as a time when you took your pilgrimage to Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem in Ethiopia? Or you took a trip to Lalibela in Ethiopia, the oldest Christian nation on the planet. Maybe you remember Christmas like this, with a picture of, or an icon of the Black Madonna and Jesus, with the three kings bringing gifts. Maybe you remember this, seeing this image on the wall and thinking fondly of those times when all of those people actually walked the earth. Maybe that's how you remember Christmas. Maybe you remember the Christmas processions in Ethiopia that still occur every year and have been occurring for the last 1,500 years since Christianity came to Ethiopia from Egypt, brought by Brother Frumentius. Maybe this is how you remember Christmas. Or maybe you just remember having a lot of Christmas joy, like whatever child received this book for Christmas. Maybe that's how you remember Christmas. Well, however you remember Christmas, we hope you had a happy holiday. We hope it was a good time for you. And in the days to come, we will be bringing you more information, more images of Christmas from parts unknown, and just having we want to present to you some of the history of Christmas. This book here, number 32 in the Black Facts series, talks about Christmas and his helper. For he really only had, in America, we think of him as having a whole bunch of elves. But in reality, all he had in Europe, where, Christmas, quote unquote, started at, the Christmas that we celebrate here came directly from there. He just had one helper, Spotted Pete. And there you see Santa Claus with Spotted Pete. So we'll talk more about them and what's going on with them today. We'll give you some news updates on the present state of Santa Claus and Zwarte Piet in the Netherlands. We'll give you an update on Krampusnacht and what's going on with it, not just in Europe, but in the Americas as well. And we'll talk about ways that you may want to think about celebrating Christmas that may be a little bit different than what you have been doing in this, since Christmas has become so commercialized. So this will be our topic for the week. Just food for thought, not trying to make anybody do anything different, just presenting another perspective on something that we all feel very comfortable and familiar with, Christmas. So that's all for today. we're going to go ahead and close out right here. This is Doc Ock signing off. Please don't forget to do the needful. You need to go ahead and give us a like, give us a thumbs up, and then subscribe to the Tubular Blakfacts Channel. Please do that. If you don't do anything else, as you see today, we started late. We'll be on time for the rest of the time, but we did have, trying to grapple with the ideas connected with this holiday of Christmas was a bit onerous. We've been studying it and researching it for a number of years, and this is the first time we really come with a full-blown presentation. So you are front and center, or you can be if you sign up to the Tubular Blakfacts Channel. So make sure to do that. We'll be black tonight with the coming to the conclusion of our story about Ona Judge. So be here at 9 so you can all feel fine. In the meanwhile, this is Doc Ock signing off. Peace out, y'all.